Mike, you've recorded a song. I didn't know you could sing.
Sometimes. I'm usually on this side of things.
But the whole time we worked together in LA, I never heard you sing.
Trying to learn what to do on these kind of things.
I know. I was in the other room, and you were you put up the microphone, and I was like hearing this voice, and I was like, "Who's singing?" And I came in, and it was you. I was like, "Stunning, good. I'm very impressed."
It's all right.
No, it's great. It's great. So let's have a quick listen to these tracks. Now, obviously, everybody, you'll be able to download these multi-tracks. Now, there's a couple of things we wanted to talk about because when we were doing the vocals, I really felt strongly that Mike delivered a really great vocal performance. Not comped or anything at the moment. It's just a loose double. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more tweaking before the multi-tracks that you can down below will be released. But we felt like the drums and bass felt fantastic. In fact, there's just solo drums and bass here so you can hear. So here's some kick. Pretty tasty. Some snare. Now the drums is actually all, you said there's no toms on this track?
No, so this should be overhead and hat.
Overhead and
back
hat.
for this.
And then rooms?
Rooms, the mono room, the crunchy kind of microphones, and the stereo rooms.
So quick. Cool. So, I mean, it sounds great to me. What I would do, I think the kick, I think you EQ to tape, didn't you? It's pretty close to what it...
I did. Yeah, I EQ'd everything. Touch on the overheads. I know you generally don't, but yeah, I EQ'd the kick and the snare to tape. And of course, there's more that can be done, but
I think for the snare, a bit more body. We can, Jack would go down to 100. There's not a lot. There it is. And one of the things about we were working with Ken Calais, who's like pretty much an API guy because he did the whole of Rumours on an API. He pins his EQs. He's just like API EQs. He's like more, and just.
It's easy to do. They sound great, especially the stuff what I was doing on bass, especially was just.
I mean, that's six at 100 hertz. He also did 800 on the snare. That's the 800. I was watching Ken and he was doing that. And he's like, no, that's the Rumours snare. Definitely brings out the ring.
Yeah.
I'll go 2 on that, but 7 I think and above.
You using the notch filter for that then, or are you filtering out the low end with the filter on the channel, or no?
No, not yet. Yeah. Before. I'm obviously just adding a lot of volume because we're boosting probably like
everything.
Yeah, but in the drum mix, out. It's kind of good because you hear the body, you also hear the ring exaggerated by that 800, and then you hear the bottom snare, but you hear the high frequency of the bottom snare with the 7K and above. Without that on it, the bottom snare is kind of what do people say when they want it? They're negative, sort of papery.
Sure.
It's kind of. Obviously, it's adding a lot of volume, but I mean, we could go to the kick and do the usual, kind of 50 boost, add a lot more weight to it, 400 cut. But you probably were doing exactly this going to tape, yeah?
Yeah, and my goal is to inch it towards what I'm looking for, but not to go over the top with it, so it can still be affected on mix.
2.5 was always the Dave Jordan frequency for the attack. That's the great thing about API EQs or API or Neve EQs, any of the classic EQs, our ears know those frequencies. We listen to those records and we're like, 50 boosts on a kick. Sounds like what the kick drum's supposed to be. Although I didn't, did the A's always go down to 30 and 40?
No, I couldn't tell you when the variations happened, but I think there were three frequencies maybe on that band
Yeah,
on the early
I don't
ones.
remember it going down to 50. I below 50. I mean, I remember obviously 50 on the on the Sunset Sound consoles, which have the API EQs in there. I don't remember it going below 50, but maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's certainly not 30. Anyway, I think that's still keeping the. So it's more of the same. I think for me, with the overheads, we get to a section with some cymbals. But the reason why I sort of talk about API EQ points is people often ask me, how do you get the sound of this record or that record? And even if they're mixing in the box and they don't have the hardware, I'm just like, just open up the emulations, because those records were made that we love, sort of pre-80s, or even some of the 80s ones, were made with fixed EQ points. So you get like a Supraphonic up and you put a 57 on it and you put an API on it. You're like 75% of the way they recorded. It was more likely than not to be a Supraphonic. It was probably a 57. It was probably an API pre. And as we heard, David say, all of these preamps are the same. Whether the 212s, the 312s, or the 512s, they're all the same architecture. So, with a 1608, you're going to get the classic API sound. Whether you're using a plug-in emulation of an API or the actual API itself, you can get really, really close to the same drum sounds because of the fixed EQ points. They weren't sitting there sweeping and doing all the clever stuff that we can do now. So what I like about it, it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? Because you've got the 50 on the kick, like 100 on the bottom of the snare, and then with the bass, you can boost some 100 as well, and it all kind of starts to glue together.
Fixed frequencies and also 2 dB steps.
Yeah.
You have to commit. There's less of this, what we all will obsess over in some cases. Is it 0.2 dB? It's different, right? The EQ's not turned on.
Yeah, EQ's not turned. I think I heard a difference. Oh, I didn't turn the EQ on. Yeah.
Tamarines in that too. I gave that a little bit more mid in the box though.
I'm tempted on the rooms, and I know you know this because the room's not huge. I'm tempted to just, you got two. Are you using them in stereo? How are you doing them?
Yeah, so the stereo, so the RD4s are the stereo room mics. Those are the Huart mic in the kit. They have the corner one.
Yeah.
We want to mute those and listen to just the
Well, here's
the room rooms.
here's the stereo. Yeah.
Roll off some low end off of it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, we could probably just do that globally. To be honest, we could probably just. What I usually do, I'll go to. What I'd normally do is go to 50, and not even do any. Just literally just pull out the tiniest amount. You could probably even go higher to 100 or something like that. It will take out some of the bottom of the snare. But the only reason why I ever usually high pass on the rooms is because if they're delayed, I don't really need a long amount of low end being doubled up. But honestly, what I would probably do on this mix, we can bring this up, hit the channel just a little bit harder with these mics, because they are stereo. Frankly, we could do a couple of things. We could bust that to a stereo fader if we wanted. So we could just come in here. You've got the latest and greatest version of Pro Tools. Oh, no buses yet. So we could just...
So I just moved to my new system. So we got the Mac Studio with the expansion chassis and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't have any of my templates pulled over yet.
Oh, well.
So
I'm just going to go, we're going to go generic. I'm just going to go generic and grab a reverb, believe it or not, and go to medium room. You know why I go for 750 milliseconds? Because that was about the size of the reverb in the swing house.
Oh,
so
really?
my ear
Get used to it.
And then we'll just blend it. So it just adds a little bit of extra. I don't mind cheating. So we've got room mics, which is a good accurate representation, stereo representation of the kit. Just put a little bit of extra oomph to it. Let's throw in this in mono and have a listen.
So this is that room corner. I showed the mic that's down in the corner with all the treatment and everything like that, and it's those little $20 Niant microphones built into the Canon connector for the microphone and the mic cable, and they sound great.
They're both quite good.
The mono room is the one that was in the middle of the diamond of gobos.
I think I'm just going to put them both into that same bus. Sounds great to me. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Let's call that. If only I could type.
Our D-Rum's room.
D-Rums. The Rums. The Wums. There it is. Just gonna pan the hat a little bit further. Bring it up a little bit. I felt like when I was listening to the track, I thought and then the tambourine, you know, to me, I like to balance the tambourine away from the snare, away from the hi-hat. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's have some bass. Bass is pretty even.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to do rough mix on this. Now, when we were doing the vocals, Mike and I were like, this sounds good. It sounds good. We liked it, but we felt like the guitars just could have used an extra 10% more dynamics. So he's going to get, Ben's going to come back in and just give it a bit more edge. I felt like it was just a little bit contained, and it just needed that little bit more of the breakup, just a little bit more of that, just a little bit more attack to it. However, it was definitely good enough and right enough to use for vocal tracking, but here's the guitars. And yeah, we could put a decapitator, we could put sounds on it, amp on it, we could do any of those kinds of things. But, you know, the other thing we could do actually is just overdub the Springsteen, just gang, gang, gang on top of that, then let this be the verse guitars. So maybe we'll do that. So these are the verse. And then when the chorus comes in, you could try and do that. It's just an overdub and keep this existing kind of more mellow guitar there. So yeah, it's sounding. So for the guitars, I love that this solo in place. Because the old APIs, I remember working on one in Seattle and it didn't solo in place.
Did not?
Yeah, it was like a 71 or something, you know. In those days, it had 3 switches. It had a left, a right, and a mono. And because they hadn't quite figured out like the pan law and all that kind of stuff, it was different volumes.
Well, and pan laws are different depending on the DAW you're using, on the console you're using. All kinds of stuff to pay attention to.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I think for the guitars, we can shelve it a little bit higher than the bass. So 180. What I always liked about American guitar sounds is they always dip about 2K. Now we don't have that option on the 550Bs, but we could dip in maybe a little bit of 1.5 or a little bit of 3. Let's see what we prefer. There's a bit of 1.5 out. Then maybe add some 5 above it. All right, the other thing we could do is we could do some 2.5 cut on there. Maybe try that. So a bit of 2.5 cut, and then just do the 5 from this one here. See how that sounds. Yeah, that's nice. Now I hear almost like a pick or a fingers going, and that's kind of what I was missing in the original. Yeah, that's the personality now. Let's give it a little 100 on the bass. And I've always loved 1K or 1.5 or 800s. There's some 3K. 3K always gives me the pick or the fingers. There's something about the 800s working on this.
There's lots of 800 in it from tracking too.
Yeah. There's a lot of 800 in the tracking? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I love that on the EQs.
That 2.5 cut with that 5K boost is really making his guitars shine. It's totally changing my perception. Let's go for the keys. Now the keys are definitely soft.
Yeah, we talked about, I'm not sure if we even got it on camera, but I was talking with Josh about potentially tracking him after the fact and using a VI, maybe micing the piano, using
I think that'd be nice.
That we'll have a little more time to experiment with. I mean,
a little bit more wrongness. I mean, this is the EQ setting you had, which is tasteful. You're doing more cut.
This is what I had done last night. I got that setting together just to make it sound a little bit more like this as opposed to what it went to tape.
Yeah, it's definitely more exciting. Some vocals, baby.
You wreck me, baby.
Now, you have a Bricasti, so what, you know the Bricasti, you own it. What would be your preferred vocal verb on this?
Depends on what we're going for. So on some stuff, those ambient settings are great. You can go for something longer.
Yeah, I think something tighter for this though, don't you think?
A small room.
Yeah, decent.
Along those lines.
Not a bathroom, but you know, something around about a second-ish. Now, I love the fact it comes with a plug-in, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so there's a couple manufacturers that make plugins for it. It doesn't actually come with one, but there's one available.
Oh, this doesn't come with it?
No,
but it's controllable from it?
Yeah, so a couple manufacturers have stepped up and created plugins for it, and that's why I love that, and that better make your EQ we're going to use because, once we decide what we're doing, we save it with the session, and it just recalls it. It's just so great. You got the remote control. You can flip through and find something that's going to work.
So let's go for a second on it then.
On the ambience, or you want to try something else?
Let's hear it. So where's the return on the verb?
Let's come back here.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong.
I can't see what that said.
Tonight we say.
Yeah, it's about a second, right?
Yeah, about a second, yeah.
On a radio song.
So it's just a little, the vocal's just a little bit nosy with two of them going. So maybe we come in a bit, cut little 500. You know, because that's usually nosiness is anywhere from like 450 to 7.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me, should I go down if I stay too long in a troubled town? Oh, yeah, you wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me in two, but you move me, honey.
Great. So I actually gave you, cut a bit of the 500 and I gave you a little bit of 250, a little bit of 125, just a bit more, just a tiny bit. Bit of 8K, some air. Didn't seem to get harsh. I think maybe yesterday when we were listening back, there was a bit of 4K on there, was there? Is that what was hurting us?
we were monitoring through an EQ that shouldn't have been turned on.
Yeah, there was like a 4K and maybe some 4 and 2. It was a bit
Yes.
high MIDI. But the 8K is not harsh. I like it. 500 is to get rid of a little bit of that. Not much, just to show maybe I'm overdoing it. A little bit of 250, a bit of 125, just for some body. Then pulling out 31 and 63, which is probably barely in the mic at all, but we don't need it. There's no reason to have it. A tiny bit, yeah. That actually sounds really nice.
Tonight we
The 45 hertz filter. Oh, maybe it isn't on. I thought you had the filter on the API on. It's not, and it's feeding. Right now, it's just tapping, but it's going back into the CL1B.
Yeah, and the CL1B is engaged.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me, should I go down?
That sounds really nice. The Bricasti sounds fantastic. We used the CL1B on the way in, and I don't think you can use it too often.
It's an all right compressor.
It's a freaking amazing vocal compressor.
Tonight we ride, tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me, should I go stay too long? Trouble time. Oh, yeah, you wreck me, baby. Yeah.
Definitely need the. I think that extra guitar overdub is what's going to do it. Just a gram, a Bruce Springsteen, Telly, Pro Junior kind of just gram.
I think that's great. And then also, I mean, possibly just there's more dynamics on that very intro couple of bars there, or several bars that maybe we copy something over, and maybe that ends up just introing it correctly, or the overdub in addition to it.
I think an overdub would be nice, just for a bit of color. You know, I mean, look, it's a great song, and it's great that it's pretty linear, and you know, Tom Petty's the ultimate writer for 3/4 chord songs. I mean, D, A, B minor for most of the songs, pretty remarkable.
Amazing.
So the Better Maker, I don't know this. If we just try a little bit of boom and fizz, you want to put a little 60, a little 10, 12K kind of lift. That's what I would do with my Poltex.
Yeah. So that's the other plug-in.
Well, what's your trick? What's your trick on it? What would you normally do?
Oh, so I'm generally taking a little bit off the bottom.
Yeah.
And then there we go. Then you can decide how that rings as well. So we figure out where we want that while it's running. So, I mean, I'm personally will generally use the filters there, and then there's a whole Pultec section here as well. So I'm generally cutting with this low parametric band, the low cut, and deciding where I want that resonant peak to be, and then go to my Pultec and have fun with that. And then I'm usually using these.
Well, do we need that resonant peak? Is there any way we can just reduce that resonant peak so it's not really there?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
right
to me, I would just go there, and then I would just go to about 60 on the Better Maker. Great. A little bit of boost there. Let's have a listen.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
Now let's go up to the top here. Hang on, about 11 or 12. Let's turn it on. Oh, let's see, I'm just gonna.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
I mean, it's as simple as that. It just already opens it up, just a bit of 10 and 12, you know, I've got about 12, but it's 60. I love the gentle slope where it just pulls everything up underneath it gently. And then as far as compression, we're going into the 2500.
So this isn't mine. So Dave brought us a 2500 plus to play with.
Cool, so let's try out the 2500 then, the plus.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
the fastest release time. Let's get it there.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rest.
Wow, it's quite audible. That pat 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 on the snare is nice.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong.
Feed forward and feed back.
Tonight we ride,
Big difference.
right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
Well, why don't we have some fun with it and then blend it out a bit?
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me, should I go down if I stay too long? Troubled town. Oh, yeah. You wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me too. But you move me, honey. Oh, yes, you do. Now and again, well, I get the feeling. Well, if I don't win, well, I'm gonna break even. Rescue me. Should I go wrong if I stay too deep? If I stay too long? Oh, yeah. You wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me too. But you move me, honey. Yes, you do.
I think I like the slower attack. We've got the fastest release. We've got it so it's the point that you first start hearing the compression come in on the blend.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
Really getting down.
Rescue me. Should I go down if I stay too long? Troubled town. Oh, yeah. You wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me too. But you move me, huh?
Definitely pushes things forward and it definitely exaggerates the transients on the snare. It's like one of those things that wherever I start is what I like.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail.
That snare's very pat 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 now, and the guitars are nice and forward, but let's bypass it and start it.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail.
Now start it again.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong.
I think it's interesting. Drums are well performed and well played. We're not adding any additional compression or EQ on the drums,
anything, yeah.
and they sound really super even. And it's a weird one. It's like I might shift that over to a drum bus. You know, maybe it's almost a little spanky, almost like a kind of SSL. I've never actually heard an API 2500 do that, and it's probably because we're feeding it a very uncompressed drum mix. Normally, I think we'd probably be just squashing it just a little bit harder, going to the master bus just a tiny bit harder. But I think I like this.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song.
It is pumping a little bit though, isn't it? When the guitars come in,
But it's fun.
it's kind of fun.
I was thinking it's
there
fun.
you go.
Did you mess with the thrust circuits?
Yeah, try it.
Besides changing stuff?
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me. Should
nice.
might have solved it, yeah.
That's nice.
Now it feels like it's definitely got subtler on this soft knee and with the normal rather than we had it on the medium and it was that. As soon as you put it on normal, the pumping stopped in the lows.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight.
That sounds great. Good job. I'm being all American. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Great recording.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just a bit of acoustic piano in there, and just those crang grangs, just to give it just a bit more of a lift.
And we'll comp the vocals, and I'm gonna give it a little tuning.
No, say it ain't so.
And then the backing vocals.
Backing vocals.
Maybe we'll have Andy sing those.
Great. There's going to be a little link down here below to download these multi-tracks. We didn't even get into the automation on the API, but it has automation. David did explain some of that, so check that part out as well. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
This is fantastic.
It's been great seeing you in person, and this is a lot of fun this week.
I know, it's been a fun week. We've been in Indiana, 3 or 4 days. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and now we're going to go out and get some food, and these guys are going to have some beers. It's Eric's birthday yesterday. Woo! Happy birthday!
I feel old.
Oh, he's 29. There you go. 29. Thanks, everyone. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, tschüss, tutzins, ciao, goodbye.